So out of all the videos that we're going to be doing, I think this one is going to be the most challenging because I want to challenge the way you think about yourself. Now, if you're like me, you've probably grown up with the idea of we're going to be talking about story, right? And the importance of story in the subconscious mind, and how the stories that you believe to be true are what actually influence your life and are what will give you, or is what the stories that you believe to be true are what are getting you the results that you're getting right now in life. And how by changing those stories is how you change what you get in life. Now, most of us are sold this story from being very, very young, that the idea of life is to go to school, get an education, get good grades, go get a job, earn money, work your way up through the ranks to higher paid jobs, buy a house, buy a car, get married, have children, then retire, save up for retirement, then enjoy your retirement for a couple of years and then die. That's the story that we are sold. And inside of that story, nothing's ever talked about the mind, as we've gone into. We're basically educated to believe that we are nothing more than workers. That's all that's what we're for. That authority is to be obeyed, that you must obey your parents, you must obey your teachers, you must obey the police, you must fit into society, you must be a good citizen, you must be all these kinds of things. And I don't know about you, but me as a child, I denied myself who I was, who I wanted to be able to fit into this idea of what society told me that I should be. And this is one of the major influencing factors in depression, is this frustration of not being able to achieve that which you desire to achieve because you're too busy doing something else, if that makes sense. Like, you're not fulfilling your own desires, and then deep inside there's a frustration which is just continued and continued and continued, because you're not getting what you want, because life isn't going the way you plan it. But again, this is just a story. So what I want to do is kind of discuss what story is and how the story affects your life. So a story is nothing more than a character going through an experience. So if you think of like Lord of the Rings, for example, or Star Wars, let's use Lord of the Rings, for example. The story is just about Frodo going through an experience. Now, when you read the story about Frodo, the character of Frodo is made up of three things. It's made up of Frodo's thoughts, it's made up of Frodo's feelings, and it's made up of Frodo's actions. And this is what we call Frodo's character. That's the character that he plays. And this character, Frodo, goes and has an experience. And this experience, the experience that Frodo has, is influenced by his character. So the things that he thinks, the things that he feels, and the actions that he takes determine his experience, which then also feeds back into here. So the experience that he has then influences his thoughts, his feelings, and his actions. And this, in essence, is the loop, the story of our life. And this is the same for you. Excuse me. I want you to think about your life. So this is you. This is you. You are a combination of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And you are having an experience, which is your life. So going back to the video we had previously about the conscious and the subconscious, the things that you are programmed to think and feel and act on through the story that gets programmed into your subconscious through your mind determines the experience you have. So if you are thinking negative things, you're feeling negative things, and you are taking negative actions, your experience is going to be a negative experience. And then, of course, the experience that you're having comes back in through those 5 senses, back into your mind, and reinforces those negative thoughts, those negative feelings, and those negative actions. And what, in essence, we get is this negative feedback loop constantly in our life. And this is what leads, in the end, to depression. And this can be such a hard thing to live through, especially if you're going through depression, because it seems like a cycle that you can't get out of. It seems like a cycle that will never end. And so the way that we change these things is we have to change the way that we think. We have to change the way that we feel, and we have to change the actions that we take. So what I want you to do now is I want you to think of your life like a movie, right? Your life, your movie, and you are the star of the movie. Not only are you star of the movie, you're the writer and you're the director. Okay? You get to decide your character. You get to decide the character that you're playing. You can decide to play a negative character, or you can decide to play a positive character. You're the writer. You get to decide what happens. You get to decide what actions you take. You get to decide, you get to write down what's happening in your life. And if you're not happy with the story that's playing out in your life right now, you have the ability to change that story. And you're also the director. You're the one that gets to say, cut. You're the one that gets to decide when all this happens. And that when can be never. Don't change anything. Don't do anything differently. Just continue to do the same things because you don't know how to change, or you're afraid to change, or you don't want to do, or the when can be right now. You can literally choose to change right now. And I had an experience before my depressive episode that opened my eyes to a lot of myself. Is when I divorced from my first wife, I went to live in my own apartment. And my ex-wife used to be incredibly controlling. Let me reframe that. I used to allow my ex-wife to control me. And I had a very weak personality at that time. And she used to decide the clothes that I wore. And I worked at that time in a hotel. And my ex-wife, I allowed her to control the clothes that I wore when I went to work. And I used to go to work in old baggy t-shirts, ripped jeans, clothes that were just basically not attractive, because she didn't want the waitresses that were working in that hotel to be attracted to me, right? And I allowed this to happen, and I allowed it to happen. And when I left and I went to live in my own apartment, I saw the clothes that I had, and all they did was remind me of the fact that she chose what I wore. That it wasn't me that was deciding what I was going to wear. I was allowing her to direct my life. I was allowing her to be the star of the movie. I was just the supporting actor in her movie. And she was writing and directing for me. So when I got into this apartment, I took all the clothes and I threw them in the bin, and I went out shopping. And I bought myself shirts and suits and ties and shoes. And I literally had nothing left to wear but suits. And so the following day I turned up to work dressed in a suit, bearing in mind I was just a waiter in the restaurant, in the hotel, sorry. I wasn't the manager or anything like that. And when I first went in, I mean, yeah, everybody made comments. Some people said, "Oh, you look absolutely fantastic." Other people said, like, "Who do you think you are, the manager or what?" You know, it's like, and people made comment, and that for me in the beginning, it was very nerve-wracking for me at the time because I didn't have much self-confidence. But 3 days in, and I kept dressing like this because I didn't have any other choice. I didn't have any other clothes. People stopped making comments, and I just became the well-dressed guy. And I changed my story. I changed what I thought and felt and what I did. And as I changed what I thought and what I felt and what I did, my experience changed. So I changed how I dressed. So the experience that I had changed. And as my experience changed, that fed back into what I thought and what I felt. And I changed. And this is the idea that I want to get across to you, is that the depression that you're going through right now doesn't have to remain. If we can change the way that you think, the way that you feel, and the actions that you take, we can change your experience. And if we can change your experience, we can make that experience become your new experience and feed that back into what you think, what you feel, and what you do, and change that negative loop into a positive loop so that your life can become a positive life and we can obliterate the depression. So that's that. I'll see you in the next video.